Well, for more, Mount Royal University political scientist Lori Williams joins me in the studio. Welcome to the show. Nice to have you in person and all.
Oh, great to see you.
You getting the sense the die is cast that there's a new government coming in tomorrow?
Given what we saw in 2012 and even 2015, I'm a little circumspect, but the reality is that the lead in rural Alberta is significant, with about 41 seats in play there. I think probably the UCP is in good shape to get, let's say, 36, I would say, is a realistic number. It means they've only got to get another 8 to get majority government in the cities. Now, the polls are moving. Yep. We saw those shifts happening on the way into the polling booth in 2012. So it's hard to say for sure, but certainly the advantage sits with the UCP.
Translate what that massive turn, 700,000 at the advanced poll, is that something that indicates the incumbent's in trouble, or that there's a surge to try and keep the incumbent in?
That's impossible to know, because we've got really good ground campaigns on the part of both the NDP and the UCP. One of the reasons is, of course, that it's a competitive election. I think that's the biggest factor, but also that it's easier to vote in advanced polls. So folks can vote closer to work. They don't have to sort of take as much time out to vote. They want to make sure they do get to vote. Bugs going around. They don't want to get sick. Want to make sure they get their vote in. So for people who are decided, this was a really good option. And I noticed, I voted last Tuesday, and I just noticed bigger lines than I've seen in advanced polls before, but didn't quite predict it was going to be as big as it has. So again, I think we know it's going to be a really tightly fought election. Lots of people coming out. Really matters to a lot of people, and they're polarized. So.
Tell me if you think it's a mistake for Kenney to go almost nuclear on the sense that BC has been vilified and villainized as something they have to be punished for what they've said and done. I know that sounds like something that's easy to say in a campaign, but he could be the premier, and then it gets kind of problematic, doesn't it?
Well, it does, and in two ways. One, he's got these commitments that he's made that I think a lot of questions are going to be raised around. The second thing is that if you win, I mean, anger works pretty well, as we know, to win elections, but it's really tough to govern. Because you raise those expectations, and if you can't deliver on those expectations, the expectations start to turn on you. Yeah. We're already seeing, I think, remarkable divisions within the Conservative, maybe not party, but Conservatives generally. A lot of opposition, a lot of criticism, a lot of people saying what Mayor Nenshi just said about Jason Kenney not standing strongly enough against some of the comments that have been made by members of his own party, by candidates that are still running for that party. And I think that it could be very, very difficult for him to govern once he's in there. And we see this studies have shown the Conservative parties do have a tougher time just because of the divisions within them. This has started during the election campaign.
We've got a court case going in Ontario against the carbon tax. So if Kenney is elected, that brings to 5 the number of provinces that are going to fight this carbon tax. Is that the tipping point? Does that put the whole carbon tax plan in jeopardy? Well,
that's really up to the courts in the final analysis. And it looks like the provinces that are opposed to it are going to lose. That actually creates an opportunity. If Jason Kenney does become premier, he's got an opportunity to have a Made in Alberta plan. And I think that's something he ought to look very carefully at, because we know that there's been a lot of buy-in. Rachel Notley's moved those polls for the pipeline from in the 30s up to almost 70% right now because of that sort of national campaign. I mean, Mayor Nenshi's been part of that, so has the Prime Minister, but a lot of it's been because of Rachel Notley. We like in Alberta not being the environmental bad guys, and I think there's a real opportunity to bring some of those who might oppose him on side. There are some winnable environmentalists if you get the balance strike, so I think it's an opportunity.
All right. Thank you, Lori. I guess I see you tomorrow. We're on the special together. It'll be fun.
Looking forward to it.
All right.